Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword's with you. And what is this but another in the latest line of button lock knives from TwoSun. An interesting knife for a number of factors. And we'll do specs and all of that in a minute. It is a large and thick knife, as have been a number of their more recent button locks, and designed by somebody I don't know, but nice scrolly logo there. The name is Keanu, and once again we have a D2 blade and stonewash finish. Clip point, very modern looking. Here's the other fairly unusual feature. There's no opening method other than the button. What does that remind you of? One of those Civivi knives that came out a while ago. One of those first button locks from Civivi. Except the difference being here that with a little bit of pulling, and it's tough, or maybe you can't do it at all. No, can't get it out. So it's kind of locked in there. Sometimes, I need to back out. Sometimes you can pinch it open. Depends upon how much pressure's on that lock. Now, it's in there pretty good. So let's just say that the button is the only means to open it up with. There's a few times I could pull it out with my fingers, but there ain't much there to grab, really, and there's no nail nick. Now, aside from that, I find that the knife itself is very modern looking, very neat, with these very fine milled grooves on the handle, enough to give you some good traction, but also at the same time being a little bit smooth. They're cut in pretty well, almost a file-like milling on there. As you can see, the clip will switch over to the left side of the knife. However, Civivi almost never uses flat-headed screws, so there you are. You have the dome-headed screw, but yeah, it doesn't stick up too high, and you got a pretty high clip, and it's a fairly short clip. The good thing they did was run the clip, or I should say hover the clip, place the clip over the smooth part of the titanium. So we do have titanium for the handle, D2 for the blade, and let's see what we've got for measurements. Overall length, if I can catch it. 8.3, let's call that, with a blade length of 3.6. Pretty good sized blade. And for thicknesses in inches, you ready? 0.63 for the handle. And for the blade, 0.13, and millimeters, 3.7 millimeters. All right, finally, the weight. Drum roll, please. A not so light 3.77 ounces. So yeah, it's a chunky, heavier knife of D2. Action is superb. I mean, that's what you get if you hold on the button. It kind of bounces a little bit. If you release it on time, it locks in there. Pretty nice action, I'd say. Do I mind using the button to open it? Really, not at all, because you know what? Here's a rather pricey knife out of M390. This is the TS357 Vandal designed by LTK and Max Tkachuk. And this one I've had to do the same thing with because it's locked in pretty good. I haven't really bothered to break it in much yet. You can get lucky once in a while and finger flick it like that. Beautiful blade. M390, big, also thick handle. Pretty close to the same. Should I do this? Yeah, pretty close to the same thickness as the Vandal on this TS. Did I say it was a 358? TS358. You might have seen that already anyway, because finally TwoSun is putting the numbers on the blades. Didn't do it on the Vandal, they actually did it inside the handle. I'm not going to bother showing you that. Vandal's a longer knife for sure. There's another recent button lock from TwoSun. This is a TS175 designed by Tepe, and that's also a real thick, chunky block of a knife. Way different look than the 358 and a bit longer, fatter handle, etc. I have a hair there. Okay. TS175, and finally, the first button lock TwoSun that I got is the TS313, and this is a neat knife in titanium and M390 as well. Now this one very nicely, easily opens with a thumb stud, unless you got it too close to your reflector. So there that is. Interesting kind of hybrid Tonto knife with an upturned point. Let's get back to the TS358. I'll keep checking that. Numbers are hard to remember. We got a good belly there and a sharp edge out of the box. Branding's pretty simple. TwoSun on one side and the maker's mark on the other side. The number of the knife, steel, and we've even got a serial 024 for this one. So if you like 024, maybe if I get tired of this up the line, I'll loosen up on it. I like the look. I wish it was a little slimmer. It could be slimmer, I think, and still have the button lock. Maybe the button locks require a little more thickness in the handle. I don't know. But it does lock up quite nicely. You've got plenty of plunger there contacting the blade. And any other special features here? No. I think it's just running on bearings and hitting that stop pin. So yeah, does not use internal stop pins. Locks up on that back pin right there. Pretty good throw, as I said, to the button. Doesn't stand up too proud of the handle. Not sure about accidental engagement. You know, haven't tried to make it fail. But, you know, with all button locks, you do have that possibility that it could, if you don't have a safety there or whatever, that, you know, you could disengage it. Very similar to many autos, except many autos will lock it closed as well as locking it open. Just a nice modern finish. I think a nicely done clip. Is the clip titanium or steel? Titanium. So we got titanium and we have steel hardware. They look like T8s to me. And on the pivot, one side only on the pivot. So this is very likely captured. Haven't had it apart. Definitely bearings. I mean, very, very, very loose when you hold that button down. There it is, out just a little bit because it bounced. But once that's in, one thing about it, you're not going to shake it free. It's in there. So you know it's safe until the button is pressed. And I mean, just, you know, look how easily that opens. So already I've had some comments from some other reviewers when they saw this on Instagram and I did a video, you know, missing a flipper tab, missing other means to open it. You know, I don't know about that. I mean, if I go for a thumb stud, how much different is that? And going for a flipper tab, how much different is that than just doing that? I mean, it does require gravity or a little bit of inertia, momentum. But, you know, to me, it's just as easy as any other opening method. Can't get too hung up on that, you know? I mean, let somebody come out with a different design. And yeah, maybe they had to put less work into this. Now, 125 bucks retail on White Mountain knives. It is a little steep for D2, I think, for TwoSun. I don't know what's going on. Prices do seem to be going up there for the D2 knives from TwoSun. And, you know, you do have to wonder whether something's going on with the supply chain as far as steels go, because we're not seeing a whole lot of new models coming out from them in Sandvik 14C28N, even in some of the premium steels like M390. I'm seeing a few of the older models getting remade in M390, but all the new stuff coming out and the button locks, I mean, this one's D2, right? These two are older and M390, you know. There was a run of these, I guess, in Sandvik that LTK caught, and he made sure that he put on the box that it was M390. So this one is certified M390, says so on the inside, and says so signed on the box by Mr. LTK. All right, well, there you go. The TS358, not much more I can tell you about it. Maybe a quick compare here with Griptilian. It's a bigger knife than the Griptilian, slightly, yeah, half an inch or so. How does it stack up against the Rat 1? Very close. Now Rat 1's a tiny bit longer, but roughly about the same size and bigger than the Griptilian. So, TS358 titanium, all back here, and that button, however, being hardware, is steel, and the blade is D2. So, you might like it. 125 bucks. Take 10% off with my discount code OldSword, and you'll knock $12.50 off of that price. What Justin up at White Mountain does is he monitors eBay. He tries to get an average price, and that's how he marks his knives, because as we all know, there's no real retail on TwoSun knives because there's not really a distribution chain with them. They do sell them in bulk to places like White Mountain and others, but you know, the prices fluctuate. All right. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to give it a like and, of course, subscribe. You'll see a little shield in the lower right there. Click that right now. If you haven't subscribed, it'll bring you to the subscribe place. Be well. See you soon.